It began on a humid summer night in the small lakeside town of Pinefield, a place where everything seemed peaceful at least on the surface. The lake shimmered under a silver moon, surrounded by whispering pines and the soft hum of crickets. But beneath those tranquil waters, something ancient stirred, something that would soon change the lives of two teenagers forever. 18-year-old Ethan Cole was the kind of boy who dreamed big but felt trapped in a small town. His dad wanted him to take over the family's mechanics shop, but Ethan longed for something more, something beyond the dull, familiar roads of Pinefield. And then there was Lena Rivera, a wild, fearless girl with fire in her eyes, the kind of girl who didn't believe in rules. She'd just moved into town with her mum after a messy divorce, and from the moment Ethan saw her at the gas station that summer afternoon, he knew she was trouble. The kind of trouble that makes life worth living. Their first real conversation happened at Crimson Lake, the forbidden place where no one dared to swim after sunset. Local legends said the lake was cursed, that people simply disappeared there. But Lena, of course, didn't care. She stood barefoot at the edge of the dock, her reflection rippling in the blood-red sunset. When Ethan warned her it wasn't safe, she just laughed. Maybe danger's the only thing that makes life real, she said, her voice a challenge. That night, Ethan followed her into the lake. It wasn't out of courage, but because something about her made him feel alive for the very first time. They dove under the surface, the water shockingly cold and strangely thick. For a moment, everything was silent. Then a shadow moved below them long, serpentine, glowing faintly red. Lena gasped, kicking hard for the surface. Ethan followed, his heart pounding against his ribs, coughing up water. They scrambled to the shore, shivering, not just from the cold. "What was that?" Lena whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Ethan said, his own voice shaky. But it wasn't human. The next day they went back, armed with flashlights, determined to uncover what lurked beneath. Their curiosity quickly morphed into an obsession. They dug into the town's history and learned that decades ago, the lake was built over an old mining site, one that had collapsed, tragically killing dozens of workers. Their bodies were never recovered. The locals whispered that their souls were trapped beneath the water, and that sometimes on moonlit nights you could still hear their screams. But this was becoming much more than a ghost story. That night, as they searched the lake's edge, they found a half-buried iron chest with strange, intricate markings. When Lena reached out and touched it, her fingers burned as if from an invisible fire. The air around them grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence. A sudden whisper filled the woods, not a voice, but something like a collective, sorrowful breath. The chest creaked open on its own, revealing a black stone pulsing faintly, like a disembodied heartbeat. Before Ethan could even react, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A dark mist rose from the lake, twisting and contorting into shapes that almost looked human. The whispers intensified, turning into agonizing screams that seemed to echo from the very depths of the earth. Something was coming. Ethan grabbed Lena's hand. Run. They sprinted through the dense forest, chased by shadows that moved faster than any animal. Branches snapped around them, the mist closed in, and just when it seemed they'd be swallowed whole, they stumbled upon an old abandoned ranger cabin. They slammed the heavy door shut, their chests heaving, desperate for air. "What the hell was that?" Ethan gasped, his back pressed against the wood. "I think," Lena said, her whole body trembling, "I think we woke them up." As the long night dragged on, the cabin shook violently. Sinister figures clawed at the windows, their whispers twisting into a language they couldn't understand, yet it filled them with a primal dread. But through the fear, something else sparked between them, a bond forged in chaos and terror. They held each other, feeling the warmth of life pushing back against the cold of death just outside the thin walls. When dawn finally broke, the forest was silent again, but the black stone from the chest was gone. The town itself felt different. The lake's water had turned a murky, unsettling red. Dead fish floated near the shore, their silver bellies up. And then the news came. A few locals had gone missing. One of them was Lena's mother. Desperate, Lena begged Ethan to help her go back. He was terrified, but he couldn't say no. He was already too far gone in love, in fear, in a destiny he couldn't escape. They found a map of the old mines in the town library archives. The records showed the tunnels stretched directly beneath the lake. If they could find the entrance, maybe they could find her mother. Maybe they could put the spirits, or whatever they had unleashed, back to rest. That night, armed with flashlights and a courage they didn't feel, they descended into the darkness. The tunnels smelled of rust and decay. Strange symbols, the same ones from the chest, glowed faintly on the damp walls. As they moved deeper, Lena started hearing voices, whispers calling her name. "Ethan, do you hear that?" she asked, her voice a fragile whisper. No, he lied, but he did. He heard them too. At the very heart of the mine, they found a massive underground chamber filled with churning water. Floating in the center was the same black stone, now larger, pulsing with a vibrant, malevolent red light, like a living heart. The voices grew louder, echoing through their minds. Asterisk set us free. Asterisk Lena stepped forward, drawn by some invisible force. Ethan tried to stop her, but her eyes were glowing faintly red. "It's my mother," she said softly, her voice distant. "She's here. I can feel her." "Lena, it's not her," Ethan shouted, lunging for her. But before he could reach her, the stone shattered. A blinding light erupted, filling the cave as the ground split open. From the water rose shadowy figures, not ghosts, but twisted, tormented human forms, their faces frozen in eternal agony. Ethan pulled Lena back, just as one of the spirits seized her arm. Without thinking, Ethan dove into the burning water, fighting the creature with everything he had. The pain was unbearable, the water scalding like fire. He grabbed a sharp fragment of the broken stone and slammed it against the creature's face. The red light burst again, but this time it exploded outward, consuming everything in a silent white flash. When Ethan awoke, he was lying on the lake's shore. The sun was rising, the water was calm and clear again, but Lena was gone. He searched for her for days, weeks, but there was no trace, not even a single footprint. The town said she must have drowned, a tragic accident. But Ethan knew better. Sometimes, late at night, he'd return to the lake and hear her voice in the wind. Asterisk Ethan, you freed them, but I'm still here. Asterisk years passed. Ethan left Pinefield. He joined the military, traveled to the farthest corners of the world, trying to outrun the memory of that summer. But it never left him. Every time he saw a lake under the moonlight, he felt her, the girl who had made him believe in danger, in love, and in sacrifice. Then one night, while driving down a lonely highway, he saw a roadside diner, its neon sign flickering in the rain. And through the window, he saw her, Lena, older, but unmistakably her, sitting alone in a booth. She smiled, a small, knowing smile, as if no time had passed at all. He walked in, his heart a drum against his ribs. She spoke softly, her voice the same one he heard in his dreams. "You kept your promise." He sat across from her, completely speechless. How? He finally managed to ask, "Some curses," she whispered, her eyes meeting his, "aren't meant to end. They just change shape." Outside, the rain fell harder, and in the reflection of the window, for a fleeting moment, Crimson Lake shimmered once more. Love had survived through death, through darkness, through everything that should have torn them apart. And as Ethan reached across the table, his hand meeting hers, warm and real, he finally understood the truth. Sometimes love itself is the most beautiful curse of all. Thank you so much for watching. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more tales from the shadows. And let me know in the comments what you think happened to Lena. See you next time.